It might be good if the rates are high, and it might be good if they go lay down, and it might be good if we build this ship, and it might be good if we scrap this ship, and it might be good with a GRI, and it might be good with a PSS by, and it might be good if we go decarb, and it might be good if we do it right, and it might be good if we make it fit, and it might be good if we go for it, and it might be good if we synergize, and it might be good if we solve this now. Hey!
Hello, Radu.
Good to be here with you, Niels.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. We met once in the street next to my place by pure hazard. And I had a smile like that. And I still have a smile like that. So thank you so much for accepting.
My pleasure. And you made my day at that point when you recognized me. So I felt like a bit of a celebrity.
Must happen, no? Every day. Every second day.
Not every day, but yeah.
Good.
Not yet.
So we just laughed about a minute ago on the fact that obviously I'm a preparer. I'm somebody that prepares. And though I love to go with the flow, what do you think is better, prediction or preparation?
Well, ideally both.
Yeah.
Ideally both. So in our company we have. So I'm the group CEO. So my natural preference is just go with the flow in a lot of things.
Okay.
However, as a company, we would have gotten in deep trouble had I not have a good COO. She's a very good planner. She's a very good project manager. She keeps things on the timeline. She keeps things in check. That is necessary. So I would say if you have both, so a bit of preparation and then you go with the flow, that makes it the best experience.
Amazing. Is that Faye?
No, it's Christina.
Okay.
Christina is
okay. Wonderful.
CEO.
Cool. So Radu, the way we start usually comes actually from one of my oldest friend, actually my oldest friend, that is a psychiatrist. I don't know why I say that each time. It must be scary. Never mind. Can you present yourself in as few or as many words you want? Give me a rundown.
Okay. So, Radu Palamariu, Group CEO of Alcott Global, Romanian by birth, had been living in Singapore for close to 17 years, more or less, so it's been a while. Came here a long time ago not knowing where I was coming, and it turned out to be an amazing place, and so I guess I liked it. And 2 kids later and a family later, we're still here, so we very much enjoy this place that we now can call home. Business-wise, Alcott Global is at the core is an executive search recruitment firm. So we specialize in executive placements, whether it's CEOs, COOs, chief supply chain officers, chief procurement officers, globally. So we have offices all over the world: Singapore, Dubai, Zurich, Amsterdam, New York, and New Mexico. And we work with some of the largest manufacturing companies, some of the largest logistics and shipping companies, as well as technology companies that have a product within supply chain logistics manufacturing. So that's the area that the company focuses on, and then we do a couple of other things. As you know, we have events. We have a gala where we award the best executives in supply chain in the world. We have a best-selling book, and we've done a few things that, with the intention to really upgrade and upskill and share to the whole community some of the best practices. So that's in a nutshell what comes to mind when you ask me your old friend question.
Cool. I love that you say we, and I know it's not a Napoleon we, it's a pure we because you think so much of your co-author for the book and your team at Alcott. So it's funny how it's instinctive for you to say we. That's good. Amazing. Can I ask what Palamariu stands for?
Actually don't know. I think it stands for something as like rope in Romanian, but it's not a common word. So I think if you go to the etymology of the word, it means something to do with rope, but nobody uses it in Romanian like that. So,
Okay.
But I know at some point I checked it out. So it turned out like long time. Latin roots, I don't know where it comes from, to be honest. It means rope. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. If I may ask, how were you as a kid? Were you already this confident, handsome gentleman when you were 6, or you were more like I was, introvert, hiding behind sometimes mom skirts and a bit shy of the world? How were you?
Um, so, I mean, even now, there's days and days. So, we can all pretend it to be confident, but I don't know if anybody is confident nonstop. And social media is not very good because we kind of put up a facade there, and also we start to believe that there's reality or there's other people's reality, and that they're having a dream life, and it's actually not healthy at all. When in reality, we all have good days, we all have bad days. You're confident in some days, you're a lot less confident in other days. It's and there's also phases, right, where you might have a longer phase where you're not confident. So I think that just comes with life. Now, as a kid, I think it was for sure I was hiding behind my parents at some point, and I think as a kid you kind of grow into being more social. I look at my own kids, and my boy who's 9, he's a lot more extroverted and easier to mingle, whereas my daughter who's 13, not necessarily that she's introverted, but she just finds it harder to do that or to mingle, or she has a very high standards of who she should talk to and so on. So I think I was more like my daughter when I was small, or she's more like me. Yeah, so maybe closer to you when you were 6.
Yeah, definitely. You studied psychology, right?
Yeah. University, I graduated psychology. Yeah.
What led you to that choice?
Curiosity mostly. Yeah. So I was curious to understand myself. To be fair, myself first and foremost, and then others, and how do we interact. And my first university that I applied for and I got into was actually engineering and computer science. And then I realized that this is too practical, too mathematical for me. Though I like maths, but all the coding somehow it didn't make sense. And then in the second year I switched, so it's quite a complete switch to psychology, which is quite a different field. The intention was to always focus, and that's where I ended up finally, right, in things to do with organizational psychology, not so much clinical psychology, right? So organizational, how do you make people better, organizations better, personal development area. So that's kind of weaved into my career, if you may, and it turned out to be quite good for me.
Okay, all right, very clear. So can you tell me about headhunting? It's not a bad word, right? It's how you call it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So headhunting. So you call it. You can call it recruitment. You can call it executive search. You can call it headhunting. The principle is that you're hunting heads, meaning you're hunting for the senior positions in a company. Recruitment, clearly, you can. All of us may need to recruit. You might need to recruit an intern. You may need to recruit a mid-manager. You may need to recruit a secretary. Whereas headhunting is really if you're recruiting for the CEOs, MDs, VP level, the top layers of a company. It doesn't have to be necessarily C-level, but it's C-level -1, C-level -2. It typically stops at VP level.
Okay.
And our job is basically to find the best executives in that particular industry, also linked to what the company wants, right? Because sometimes companies want to make a change in the company. So maybe you don't want, if you're Coca-Cola, you don't want somebody from Pepsi. Maybe you want somebody from a Google to bring in, or OpenAI for that matter. It's probably more sexy nowadays, OpenAI, than Google even, to bring a fresh perspective. So that's where we come into play. And we are the people that make this happen. And it may sound easy. It's not necessarily easy. Things are not that obvious. There's a lot of element of convincing in this, because typically you want executives that are highly successful in their current job, so you need to convince them to explore. It's the first step. Then to get them interested in the new company is another step. Then obviously you need to take the brief from the company to make sure there's some sort of a match of chemistry, culture, and competencies. And you need to understand the market quite well, so you know where to look, because sometimes it's not necessarily obvious. So certain companies are not, if you go into packaging, or if you go into renewables, or if you go into industrial, there's many different facets where this executive can sit. So you need to understand, and at the high level, you need to understand the industry well. So that's another skill required. So if you want, or definitely I would say that it's a bit of an art, which takes a lot of soft skills and human skills. So to know how to build relationship with people, it takes knowledge to understand the industry that you're in and the functions that you operate, to know where to look. And then is that glue, marrying these two to make that process eventually happen, because it's almost like it's not like marriage per se, but it's
right?
it's a relationship that if you get it wrong at that level, it's almost like heart surgery, right? If you get the COO wrong, the recruitment for that level of seniority wrong, it's going to cost the company a lot of time and money, and potentially it's going to damage a lot of things. So you really want to do it right.
Oh, I see. I heard you in a previous podcast that you host talk about that you try to go and maybe not live in the country, but spend time in the country to make sure that you get a feel of the industry, the lay of the land, and the people. Do you still manage to do that today while being the CEO of Alcott?
In the context of our clients, I would say it's important to get a perspective of their culture, and to get a feel, if you want, or a gut feel for what's it about. So for that, I wouldn't say not necessarily that the country is important, but just going to their headquarters, going into an office is important. Just to get a perspective of how are things when you walk in there, what kind of vibe do you sense when you're around the office? How do people interact? How do they talk to each other? There's certain things that you can sense. Of course, you will get the brief from the CEO, from the board member, from whoever is the hiring manager, sure, and then you try to talk to as many peers as possible, because you're trying to complete as much of an impression of or image of how is this company like and what best suits for this company. Now, of course, many of our clients are clients that have been with us for many, many years, so by now we know them intimately. We have placed a lot of people in there. We kind of know them very well. But this with new clients, I would say, is invaluable to get a sense and as much as possible to embrace and get a feel for their culture, so that you can best make this match through the headhunting process.
Would you say that top quality to be a headhunter is empathy?
It's I would say that is required. I don't know if it's tough to have it, but I would almost say that is required, but at the same time counterintuitively. And I think that's what, maybe not headhunting, but recruitment at large is getting sometimes bad press. Because it's run in companies which have very much a KPI focus. So you call 10 people, you send 10 CVs, I don't know, you do this activity. So when it becomes numbers, then you care less about the person that you're talking with. Whereas this is a high touch, empathetic. It should be a relationship type of a relationship, and I think some people miss that or fail to understand that. And then if it just becomes transactions, I mean, nobody likes to be treated just like a
number,
a number or a CV, right? Or so I think we all perceive that as a candidate. Typically, this behavior doesn't happen with the client because they're the ones paying the bill. So that typically, we know how to take care of. But with the candidate, sometimes if you don't, then you're not a good headhunter. If you don't have empathy and if you can't build a relationship, I would argue that you're not a good headhunter.
Okay, what quality do you look for not the candidates you look for the clients, but for a new headhunter in your company? What are the maybe 2 or 3 qualities you look for in a person?
You need a lot of to be a good headhunter. You need a lot of energy, grit, determination, resilience. So I don't know if I've just said 4, right? But if
it's all right. There's no number.
If I'm to summarize, so on one side, grit. Let's call it grit, right?
Grit.
It's kind of by default you have a lot of energy, and if you have grit, so it's not an easy job by any means. It's not, and you need to have this constant. Okay, let's keep pushing. Let's keep doing. It is ultimately a sales job, right? So you need to speak to people. You need to be in front of clients. You need to convince them that they should trust you with the heart surgery of finding the new CEO, the new COO. or the new chief supply chain officer. Then I would say that, so grit is one. I would say that you gotta be empathy and teamwork and team spirit and collaboration is another bucket.
Okay.
Again, I'm putting it in a bucket.
Sure.
Too many times you have incredible, and not just in headhunting, you have incredible individual performers that are toxic as a team. So, they behave badly in the office or in the team. They only care about themselves. Yes, they bring in the sales numbers, absolutely. But pretty much everything around them is not great. Nobody, likes, enjoys working with them. I don't want that. At Alcott, we are very specific around getting people, and we've gotten people that are good team players. To me, if you have a strong team, you beat any day any strong individual. It's just a team will always win. So to me, that's important. There's the second bucket, to have this collaboration, team spirit. And the third, maybe I would put it under relentless learning drive, curiosity, desire to experiment, to try out new things. So that's another bucket. You're never finished. You constantly need to learn more, to understand better about the industry. How is the industry evolving? How is the function evolving? Who are the people? Also, when you meet somebody, to be fair, that's maybe part of empathy. I mean, you need to be curious about them as individuals, right? If you're just doing it as a transactional, you're just writing some stuff about them on a piece of paper, and that is the case. As the executive told me, like, I met this headhunter. I bet you that after I left that room, he forgot everything about me. You really don't want somebody to feel like that. It's constantly evolving, right? We do a lot of things on LinkedIn. We do a lot of things related to branding, to sharing information, to sharing case studies, which is beyond what a typical headhunter does. And we want to do that because then you stand out, and then you help more people on one side, but also you get more business. So you need to have this bucket of constant curiosity, learning, experimentation. So grit, determination, energy, team player, collaboration, working as a team, and I would say this curiosity, learning, experimentation drive.
I love it. It reminds me about the fact that you are very versatile and you do a lot of communication. I think it's Chris Williamson that says, "Be weird is your competitive advantage. Nobody can beat you at being you." And I think you incarnate that very well, I think.
Yeah, and there's another quote, I don't know who said it, something like, your quirks, what make you quirky, what makes you weird in many ways for most people, is actually your superpower. If you use it in the right way, Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying now if you like to, I don't know, splash people with water in the office. I don't know how necessarily that will translate in a superpower. But for example, for me, I love making jokes, and I don't know, I love cracking a joke. I love laughing myself. I have a meme group where on WhatsApp, it's not a group actually, it's a distribution list. So I send 1 or 2 memes per day to that distribution list, about 60 people. Some are very senior board members, executives. Some are, my friends. Of course, every day I receive about 10 memes because those people are also people that like jokes. So they send me, and then the best ones, I don't look for memes. I don't look for jokes. I get enough, right? So I get 10, and I'm just the filtering, right? The dealer, if you may. I'm the meme dealer, and then I send the ones that I think are the best, 1 or 2. In some ways, you can say that that's my quirkiness or what makes me weird. But at the same time, that's what makes me unique, because some people definitely like that. I think we all have certain things, whether it's you're passionate about stamps or football, or we all have certain things that make us unique. I think a lot of us also, and it was my case as well, you try to fit in. And the moment that you try to fit in, you become vanilla, and you just become, you have no originality. You just try to do whatever you think the others are doing. And that's when it gets boring, because you're not vanilla. We're not supposed to be vanilla.
No, but it can be attractive, especially when you're young, right? It's
probably part of growing up.
Yeah. Cool. It reminds me one day when I was in a management meeting of a company in Marseille, high in the tower. And my boss at the time, who recognized himself, told me, Niels, one day you should stop with the Google jokes. It was not wrong, but I still do them. It's okay. I managed. Okay, what are the limitations of headhunting when you are doing that job? What kind of not ceiling, but what limits you in the job? Be it understanding, is it necessary to have been working in manufacturing to understand manufacturing and recruit for it? What are the limits you see?
Yeah, I don't know if I would call it limits. And let's take specifically. Do I need to work in manufacturing to recruit from manufacturing? No. Do I need to work in shipping to recruit for shipping? No. And in all honesty, I think most good headhunters have not necessarily been experts in that particular field that they're recruiting for. Because recruitment ultimately is a soft skill, right? It's matching, being able to, on one side, if you simplify it, that the crux of it is knowing what questions to ask of the client to distill what is it that they're really looking for. And then is the skill of also getting peers and stakeholders for the job aligned, because greatest problem is a lot of times they're not aligned, and one tells you one thing that they're looking for one thing, another one tells you another thing. There's a lot of internal politics as well that happens. So that translation alignment piece is quite crucial to do. On the other side, and then the third one is understanding as much as you can the culture, the soft side of things, right? They'll tell you, but also is that element, go into the office, talk to as many people, and get a sense for yourself. The other side is, okay, fine. So then you have a JD, a brief, and so on. Does it mean if you're looking for a global head of manufacturing that you needed to have done manufacturing? No. Because ultimately you kind of look at what kind of scope, what kind of exposure, what kind of revenue. There's certain hard metrics where you can evaluate, okay, somebody that has managed one plant is not likely to manage 100, not over a direct job. If they've managed 20 or 30, you can extrapolate they would be able to manage 100. So these things are fairly straightforward in finding candidates, but the more is, okay, this is the key. Do you understand the industry? Do you have the connections in the industry that will refer you to the best candidates? Do you have the database of existing candidates? That is the hard part. Because you can understand the job very well. So what? Does it mean that you know all the different people that can do the job? That's what's your job as a recruiter, right? You need to understand what is the network of people that is best suited for that job, as well as the network of people that can point you to the network of people. So it's basically how strong is your network and database. That's what makes you the most qualified, in my opinion, to find the best person for the job. Not at all your understanding of the nuts and bolts of the job itself. Okay. You should understand it big picture. But to have a big picture understanding, any of us can. I would argue that most people can have a big picture understanding of the job without having to do it. So in that sense, the limitation is, I think that there are limitations in a sense that depending on how knowledgeable you are, so the limitation is how big is your network? How big is your network of candidates? How big is your network as a referral? So like we partner with McKinsey, we partner with the World Economic Forum, we partner with different industry associations. We call them a club of experts, which are former chief supply chain officers, former CEOs, former COOs. So when you have a search and you go and ask, let's say, global head of manufacturing, and you ask the guys that were COOs in the same industry, 5 of them, right, top companies, you're going to get some very good referrals of people. And the referral is stronger than anything because those guys are only going to refer you top candidates. If you really don't know the person at all, you never know, is it really a good candidate or not? Because on paper is one thing. In reality, they could be a toxic leader. So the limitation is how good is your network? Because if your network is, okay, I'm going to go on LinkedIn and find, then anybody can do that, right? I mean, the HR of the company in principle could do that. I mean, you're not bringing anything to the table. So that's one limitation. Second one is how good you understand the industry. Okay. And I would say that's where, companies, when they appoint a headhunter, should look at how deep is the network, how deep is their understanding of the industry. I think they almost never look at how deeply did this person do manufacturing or procurement or what the job in itself was.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. Cool. Is there any place for AI in your work? So much the buzzword those days, right? Do you use it on facilitate some discovery process quantification? I say AI, but take it ML, take it, doesn't have to be an LLM.
I use ChatGPT daily, yes.
Okay.
But
For the memes.
I think most of us do.
Yes.
But specifically for things related to candidate identification or to, I would say not for the core of the job. Like, you know, I mean, I'm not going to get AI to talk to a candidate or to screen candidates or things like that. That's not likely to happen, not at all at the C-level. Maybe there's companies doing it for entry level, for mid-level. There's plenty of these with different limitations, yeah, because then you end up filtering out for various reasons people with more and less biases, and I think they're getting better. But at C-level, they wouldn't even interact with you if they start to think that it's an AI behind it. We use it for, you know, when it comes to data analytics and we have large databases of candidates. Yes, for that, yeah, because you can input different keywords and then it shows you the best possible candidates for those keywords. But I don't know if I would call that AI. I mean, it's also search used to work like that. So let's say I wouldn't say that we use more than what anybody can use as a ChatGPT.
Okay.
There's no tool that has come out yet, at least in the world of executive search, or that I have seen, that fundamentally changed all paradigms. I think the psychometric assessment, and a lot of times at this levels, companies do want to do some personality testing, psychometric assessment. Those is not AI necessarily. I mean, it's not AI, but there's an element of detail that you can get around the personality of the people that's more and more complex and probably good. But that's about it.
Okay, cool. Something I'd like to talk with people is creativity, the creative process. You wrote a book with Alice. That's a bestseller. Congratulations for that, of course. How did you come to write a book? Were you always a writer, or is something that came later in your life?
It was more of a, you know, I was sitting with Knut at some point, and this was in COVID. It wasn't, we had never met actually. So it was a Zoom call, and then we were talking about how can we help more people. And then I don't know who came up with the idea between us, but it was like, okay, but if we wrote a book and if we shared some success stories of people that made it to the chief supply chain officers, to the CEO, that would inspire more people to want to do that. So it was that conversation. Then we said, yeah, sounds like a good idea. Let's do it.
Okay.
And then we identified 26 careers, individuals with their careers that were really inspiring. And then we did 26 interviews. And then, you know, from the interviews, we also distilled a model of what are the 5 skills that would help anyone really become a C-level executive. It's called the chain model. It's in the book. And that's how we came up with it. But it was really a process of, okay, how can we help people? And then we found this as a channel, and then we went and executed it. So that's how it came about. No, I never thought of writing a book, to be fair. It just kind of naturally developed.
I love that the vehicle, the means serve the purpose. You wanted to help, you wanted to showcase. There's something I can echo and feel about. And you wrote a book to do so. It's one mean to do so. Similar to the podcast, I imagine. You have the leaders in supply chain podcasts where you host, right? And a few of your colleagues also. It's a vitrine. You give visibility to people that for a long time were not the sexy people, if I may say, right? The supply chain, the operations, and many more, right?
Yes,
that's cool.
But I think that again, I never thought about truly trying to help people being a competitive advantage, and I still don't. But it turned out like that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of companies and people are so self-centered and so focused on, okay, how can I make a quick buck? How can I close the deal fastest? We've been in a fortunate position as well that we built a brand over time. We have business. We never were dependent on, okay, I need necessarily immediate business. But we also always try to help. Like, okay, how can I add more value to people? And I think if you have that mindset, money will come. Like, that the podcast, yes, we are not monetizing it. We are not really getting sponsors. Specifically, we didn't want to get people that wanted to pay. There's quite a lot that want to pay and get on the podcast, because then the quality would go down, and then we just didn't want to do that. So I prefer that, that remained the channel of, okay, this is where you can go and learn about the best in the industry and what they do. And then clearly it helps our brand as well, because then people come and say, okay, but you can help me for recruitment because you seem to know everybody. So it's a mutual beneficial.
Love it. What about discipline? I often ask, is discipline a creativity killer or a necessary step towards creativity? When you think about the podcast, for example, or the book, but whichever things you have created, did you need to be disciplined, or things fall into a structure and then you follow the structure and you go with the flow?
I think, discipline and consistency are key. Yeah. Even if I'm not so sure that I'm by nature a disciplined person, but taught myself, and I'm trying to teach myself to be. But because if you do one podcast every week, it's better that you do 10 in a week and then you do nothing for 10 weeks.
Agree.
And this consistency matters. And there's going to be days where it's going to feel off and you're not going to feel like you want to do things. But just doing it anyways is important in that sense. So no, I would say that discipline and consistency beats spurts of motivation on the long run any day. It's a marathon. It's actually beyond a marathon, because if you really look at it, business, and I mean, there's somebody that said it's an infinite game. And it's not infinite because at some point we die, but we die. Maybe the business doesn't die, but it is infinite in the sense that it's infinite change. Like, it will never be static that, okay, now I'm done. Like, I've done all I could do as a business or as a person. I'm done. It's not. So it's constant iterations, right? So discipline I find is very, very important. I'm not the best at it, as I said, so I need to force myself. I've trained myself over time to put it in the calendar, to have different hacks. It's like going to the gym, right? If you go to the gym you have a set schedule 3 times a week, you go to the gym, or every day for half an hour you go to the gym. It's way easier than if you're just doing it every so often. It's obviously you will have results over the long term as opposed to doing it every so often.
You mentioned about there are days where we are feeling better than others, and 100% may mean different thing on different day. Do you have any rituals, like coffee at 5 a.m. in the morning, or any secret that you can tell us on how you look so good, and tell us?
No, not per se, but there's definitely things that I mean, when there's an off day, there's things that I do to get myself out of a funk. And sometimes no matter what you do, it's still going to be a bad day. But okay, in most cases it works. For me, sports is important. Like sports and putting in a good sweat. I play padel. For 1 hour and a half when you play padel, which is a racket sport, for me it's just really therapeutical, and it's like my meditation, because you're really there. Nothing else exists, and it's just a great you break away from everything. Or hot yoga I do, but whatever, so I find that sports for me is a way of boosting my energy and just snapping out of whatever bad state you're in, and then you can go back at it. Typically I try to do that, so because what happens to me is if I just sit and constantly do the same thing, you're kind of like digging your hole. So sometimes you need to break the state, break the whatever pattern that you're in that bad day, and then just get yourself energized and then go back to what you're doing. And sometimes just taking a break for a few days. And I think switching off is extremely healthy to just allow your brain to not think about work or not think about whatever you've been thinking about for a bit of time. I think we're pretty bad at doing that in today's world. I think we're always switched on, which is not necessarily healthy.
So you're the David Goggin of headhunting. Just get up. If I may. Okay, I love it. I think you may agree on that. Often we discuss about the achievements, and as you said, social media, podcasts tend to present, of course, the persons on the light where everything is so fantastic. Would you have an experience of something that failed, if we can call it a failure, right? That you could share to inspire that failure is okay, absolutely okay?
Oh, I have a lot. It's inevitable, I think.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's a lot of examples. But I mean, at some point, a couple of years ago, we had quite a few clients that told us, look, we would love to have a learning platform where it's specifically tailored for supply chain, for operations, for logistics. And we went on to create it. I thought, I asked enough people, I spoke to quite a few tens of people, and I thought that there's a market need for it. We went on, we put in quite a bit of work, right? We created, if you want, like a LinkedIn Learning, but in supply chain. We recorded with different guests, with different trainers. There was work to create the platform, to make users, to make it look really professional. In the end, it flopped in the sense that when we went to market and we're like, okay, you said that you want it, now buy it. And then it turned out, well, they weren't the decision maker. So I had asked the business guys, and then it went to HR. And then the HR would be like, yeah, but we have LinkedIn Learning, or we have Coursera, or we have something else. And it did not, it did not sell. So it was a problem of, we did not check with the right audience, with the right buying audience enough. And we had to switch it off because it didn't bring in revenue. Now, you can say that that's a pretty big mistake. And in many ways, it was a lot of time and money invested in it. In other ways, to me, it's inevitable. No matter, when you try things, some will work and some won't. Now, the quicker that you realize that it's not going to work, the better. It's just life. If you don't try anything, yes, you will not fail. But if you try stuff, you're going to fail at some.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. Do you have a favorite quote that helps you to keep steering the boat ahead when those days are gloomer and you realize that you failed on a product and you have to shut it off? Do you have something that you think of? It doesn't have to be a quote. It can be an image, a place, something that helps you to go forward?
I tend to try to shrink it down to, okay, look, let's just get through today. Because when you get into let's say a darker place, then everything in the future also tends to become dark, right? So those times I try, what is today? What can you do today, right? Let's just get through what is going on and what's in front of us, like one baby step in front of the other. Because no matter what, there's going to be a new day. There's going to be a new project. There's going to be, other things that will happen. So just get through today. Don't think too much about the future. Especially when you're having a patch of bad days, right? So that's when it really helps. Like, okay, and self-awareness first. Okay, it is happening. Sometimes you just can't change it. Like I could do 5 hours of sports and, if you fail on something, you're going to feel bad for a while sometimes. Like I don't know if it's natural for a human being to fail and just kill, oh yeah, no problem. Like maybe there are some people like that, but most of us would feel like, okay, right? It sucks. There's a feeling of it sucks. Fine. It's normal. I think it's human. So then just focus, okay, let's take it today. Tomorrow we see. Tomorrow you see how you feel. Okay, just take today, tomorrow, right? And at some point it changes because this is just the nature of life. It's a flow, right? So at some point the energy changes as well, as long as you don't get stuck too much in reminiscence and just stress and anxiety and future orientation. I think that's what I try to do, and in most cases it works really well. The second very practical thing that I found helpful to me is I talk to ChatGPT. Like when I have when I'm stuck, it doesn't have to be serious stuck, or it can be even problems or challenges at work, or I don't know how to structure something, or whatever questions I may have. I ask ChatGPT, and I used to have an executive coach because I like to clarify things to myself by talking to somebody. Now that somebody is ChatGPT.
Okay.
And I found it invaluable. Like it's really, really good, and it gives very practical suggestions. So to me, that's another way of sometimes decompressing and getting stuck, unstucking yourself.
Okay, I get that. It's funny when you mentioned the point on a day at a time, and move on and stuff. It reminds me. Have you watched Community, the series Community? It's about a community college in the US where the level, of course, is pretty bad, and the dean is a fantastic comic guy. And at some point, the main characters go through a class, and the class is about seizing the day. So the teacher try to teach very materialistic, focus on success student to just seize the day, like throw off the book of the table, go look at the flower, growing. And the main guy really has a hard time to do that. At some point, he does something nice for someone else without realizing that the teacher is around. And the guy comes behind and say, "Well done, you have seized the day." And I think I like it echoed to what you said about, take it a day at a time and just focus on remembering that things will be okay. The energy, tend to bring stuff with it. So don't get stuck. Okay, cool. Do you have, or did you have any mentor that helped you becoming the professional you are today? Or were you always a lone wolf that made the road and then gathered the pack along the line?
No, I don't know if anybody's like that. No, for sure. I was fortunate to have many along the way. And I think it starts with the family had a big, and still has, but a big contribution. I was fortunate to have amazing parents. Both my mother and my father supported me in everything that I did, really, which is unbelievable. And then I was lucky. I was in university. I was part of different students' organizations. I met a lot of people that taught me a lot of things. When I got here in Singapore, my first boss was my biggest mentor. I learned a lot from him around how do you build businesses, consulting, sales. His name is Andrew Bryant, so I owe him a lot. Then in every job, really, I had my share of mentors. In headhunting, I was lucky when I started. Again, I had Samuel and Jerome, my two bosses, and they taught me a lot. Even now in my team, right, there's different people that we have at different ages. I mean, maybe it's not a direct mentorship, but I'm trying to learn from everybody, as well as share. So I think this is an ongoing journey. I think to have a mentor, and it's not just one, to have mentors in general is the fastest way to accelerate both your career, your learning. You find the mentor that obviously has already done what you wish to be doing. So I think they can give you tips and tricks on what works, what are some shortcuts, what are some useful things. And yeah, to me that has proven to be invaluable. I still do that. I still have mentors. I still ask people for advice. So it's a constant iteration process.
Thanks for sharing. Okay. We're going to the last part of the discussion, which is a series of fireside questions. Yes, no, one word answer. You ready? Okay, cool. Pineapple on pizza is a legit thing.
No.
Hot take. Okay, no. Okay. Do you believe in an AI, LLM in supply chain?
Yeah.
Who is your favorite comedian, like a stand-up comedian?
But I watch a few. There's a guy called Phil Henley.
Okay.
I would say that's the guy that I followed the most recently. But I watch a few of them. But to be honest, I don't necessarily. You see, interesting enough, I don't catch their names, but I watch the content.
Okay, cool. We need more trust in our industry, supply chain industry.
Yeah. And in general, for all humans, it would be good.
Would be good. Okay, what is your favorite song?
Song. It's My Life by John Bon Jovi.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear the musical And Juliet? It's a musical where Juliet is the main character and Romeo is a bit of a douchebag. But when he comes back from the dead, that's the music they play.
Oh, really?
And he comes back and says, hey, it's my life. Sorry, this question. Blockchain, a revolution in supply chain.
No.
No. The Radu of 2017 would have said what? Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think it was. I did write an article, and I think it was with question mark.
Yeah.
And that question mark is no.
Answered no. Okay. Salary transparency in all job postings. Against or for?
I would be against. I mean, here I feel the need to
Please
elaborate.
Of course.
Because, and I mean, there's stuff that they try to do in US, right? And okay, this is the bracket. And also here in Singapore, you have to post. There's a government portal, and you have to post certain jobs. The reality is that it also. So one, it creates an expectation from the candidates, because you're always going to look at, okay, but I want the highest. Yeah, but you can't just double your salary. There's an element of internal equity as well, and parity, and there's a couple of things that matter. Two, I've seen companies offer more. I mean, there's
Sure.
So the moment that you start to set. So again, I mean, I might be wanting to put this mostly for mid to senior roles. Maybe it works up to a certain level of jobs, but once you hit that, I think it's a bit tricky territory, because you set expectations that may not be accurate. I mean, if look at what's happening now in AI, right? You think that Mark Zuckerberg gives any
1 billion.
the packages that they're paying. I mean, if you want to have an exact salary range, it's just not going to work. So, yeah, that's why I'm saying that I'm against for mid-senior roles.
Get you. All right. Any favorite movie of yours?
Forrest Gump. It's just, run your way through
Relentless.
life. And kind of plays out.
Okay. Cool. I love it. Okay. Okay, last one. If you were a port, which one would you be?
I mean, probably I'm biased, but I actually like Singapore as a port, right? Because you're yeah, I'm definitely biased. But
Sure.
by now, after 16, 17 years, I prefer Asia. So, Singapore to me is at the heart of Asia. I mean, you have Shanghai, you have Shenzhen, but Singapore to me is the heart of Asia. For some reason, it is also kind of geographically, you can say it's much more in the center than any of the others. It's a melting pot, right, of cultures. And you have, so many trade lanes here, and so many, Southeast Asia, India, China. You have obviously from the US, from Europe. Yeah, Singapore is the most international in my head, at least.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. So we have a tradition. I have a tradition. I like to say we, but for now it's me. So the tradition is every guest leaves a question for the next guest. Of course, they don't know who the next guest is. Actually, I don't think it matters. So there's a question for you from the previous guest, Jean-Baptiste, who says, what is the harsh thing you have been forced to learn in your career that you would have liked to be warned about sooner?
It took me a long time to learn patience and to learn that I was always looking for shortcuts. And okay, how can you do this how can you get rich overnight type of things? How do you lose faith in 2 weeks?
Did you find out?
Yeah, well, this is the harsh learning. I found out that you don't.
Correct.
I found out that actually the long way is the long and hard way typically is the way. And things don't happen overnight. Unless you're super lucky. And if you're super lucky, then typically it doesn't last because you have not put the hard work. You don't appreciate it. And you don't realize what it actually takes to get there. So I don't know. But again, I don't know if somebody could have taught me that. I think I could have maybe been more disciplined around it and build more if I had stayed more with the sports. When I was growing up, I think sports teach you some level of resilience and endurance and patience and long term. But to me, that was my lesson, right? It took me a while to learn that, look, things actually take time. Take it as a marathon. Just put in the work consistently, disciplined manner, and then over time, you'll get the results. So that was mine.
Thanks for sharing. All right. Would you mind leaving a question for the next guest?
What is stopping you? So if you had $1 million, and actually $1 million now with inflation is not. You had $1 billion. What would you do?
Okay.
And the second part of that question is, what's stopping you from doing it today, apart from the obvious money? You just, let's just assume that you were to do that today. Why don't you just do it? Is it just money that's stopping you?
Thanks. Love it. Any final question? Do you have a question for me?
What was the most interesting part of our discussion today for you?
To see how you're purpose driven. It's not. I'm quite good at people. So modest, but I'm French. You will forgive me for that. You don't have an ounce of self-centeredness. You're not true yourself. You think with purpose and with intent, and visibly a good one, like a positive one, and things tends to happen because you keep that purity, nobleness of thought and of what you seek to achieve in the world around you, and things happen. Sort of manifestation. But not manifestation because you put the will for things to manifest. Manifestation because you put the will to be a good person. And I love that because the Niels of, today and the past 4 or 5 years, I've been seeking to have an impact on my world, my surroundings. Creating a family is my next project, which I hope will happen. But I'm also going back to France. I was saying yesterday to one of my mentors, I want to participate in the village life. I want nothing else than be in a community. So it's something that speaks a lot to me. And maybe that's why my brain fixed or locked onto what you said in few occasions in how you describe what you do and how you do it. I love it.
Super.
Cool. Radu, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Really, thank you. Cheers.
It might be good if we solve this now. Hey!